Hey goons, me here. I was originally going to stream tonight, but was too tired. But I felt like I had to make a video response to our old dear friend George. Um, so not many people know this, but next year is going to be the 20th anniversary, if I'm not mistaken, when SA first started uh, trolling George and prank calling him, and it's been nothing but lulls ever since. I mean, a lot of horrific stuff too, but a lot of lulls. Speaking of, George, so you've been on this doxing thing for, let's see, almost 16 years now, 17 years. I forget when you did that video of uh, Michael Rafferty. You keep calling, we'll keep saying your name, Michael Rafferty. it, I to this day I still think he does it because he thinks that we'll, wet our knickers and shut up if our names are mentioned. When it always has the opposite effect. You see, George has the Midas touch, except it doesn't work on himself. Oh, I guess that was how the original Midas touch worked too, but I'm thinking too much about this because we're talking about George here. Um, I mean, other than us, everything else George touches turns into just complete shit. Um, so yeah, this is 20 years. George making videos, quote unquote, unmasking people, doxing people, and much to the chagrin of George, nobody cares. It's not like people have, stopped and wanted to help George out with his problems. And the only reason I think Angela did for a while was just out of sheer pity, more so than feeling like there was some sort of major injustice involved. Um, then, of course, you've been doing this ever since, and good things just happen to us every time you do this. So, just a case in point. Um, did it to Leighton Harmon, who became popular after you mentioned him. Same thing with Lewis. Same thing with me. Same thing with everybody else. It's just a shame you can't, have this kind of charismatic effect to yourself. It only works on other people that you fucking hate. Um, and I mean, let me put it this way: prior to you, George, Meth and Eugene, their channel, it didn't have that much in terms of subscribers. But after you started the whole doxing routine, that skyrocketed them up to more than 1,000 subscribers. So, yeah, this just always backfires in your face. I know I've said that a billion times, but I really want to emphasize this to George. And even worse, he never thoroughly researches his sources. He just takes everything at face value. So, I mean, it's not like people can lie when they put their identities online. Like when I first started trolling people back in the well, it's been forever technically, but I like changed my most of my information when I moved out of my parents' house and still kept the address and phone number there. Um, which lent, I mean, it did go in an interesting direction because George ended up calling my parents, and my mom, and I was there because I mentioned this recently in, I don't remember whose podcast, because I used to go over Sundays for dinners all the time. Um, and yeah, George basically yelled and screamed at my mother until he got the information he wanted to hear. They weren't facts, they were just stuff he wanted to hear. And my mom did this, like I said, a whole acting thing to him. And it's once again, it was just to see how far he would take it. And George never researches anything, took it hook, line, and sinker as usual. Um, did the same thing for um, and I forget who it was off the top of my head, but I want to jump ahead to Captain Corpulence. Um, you claim he's Vietnamese when he is, say it with me, George, Vietnamese. Vietnam. It's a country in Asia. I know that's hard for you to believe. It's not Vienna in Austria, you dumb motherfucker. Um, then this whole video today, think about it, George. Think about it. That's the last thing I'm going to ask you because I remember a few years after you called my parents, I made a fake video saying I threw like dead cats by their tail in the ceiling or something stupid like that. And you bought it hook, line, and sinker. You accepted that as the truth, even though you knew it was me doing the voice and I was lying. So once again, think about that, George.